Welcome, everyone, to Bet What Happens Live. I'm your host, Nick Giffen, predictive analyst here at Action Network. And joining me, Simon Hunter, Chad's BFF. Simon, how's it going, buddy?
Good, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing great. We hit that luck rankings Broncos play, so that always feels good. But we're at halftime of Detroit and Arizona. Arizona just made a field goal to cut the lead to 20-10 at halftime. What are you seeing from that game so far?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of what we talked about, right? The Lions are just dominating up front with that offensive line. They're getting the push they want. And not that it's Kyler Murray's fault, but they're not being consistent right now in Arizona offensively. So, yeah, if you're a Detroit backer, you're feeling pretty good. Their offense should get even more push in the second half. It just seems like the guys up front are really doing whatever they want to do.
Yeah, honestly, both teams are moving the ball pretty well. I know Arizona only has 10 points, but they are 6.3 yards per play, and Detroit's 7.1 yards per play. So an offensive game here. Does that make you think anything about betting, a side or a total on this one live or any player props?
I think, you talked about a little before it came on that you could look towards the receivers here for Detroit getting a little bump with Laporta going down with an injury.
Yeah.
We don't know exactly what he's hurt with, but it seems serious enough that he did go out on a cart. On the flip side for Arizona, we expect for pass, right? So Marvin Harris right now has a little low catches. I think he only has that 26 yards, right? Last time I checked. So he could be a guy you could look towards his props in this one.
Yeah, he has 3 for 33 now for Marvin Harrison. And if I try to find a live line on him, well, we got to wait just a moment. The odds are down for receiving yards. So we'll wait for that to pop back up. I just need to give it a refresh and maybe they'll pop back up here.
And then we just had the Ravens just scored again, so they're now up 21-3.
Yeah, Ravens are up 21-3. So that's a pretty hefty favorite right now. It looks like if I pop in the money lines there, they are 93.5% to win this game. Dallas only 6.5 based off of the current live odds.
Yeah.
So we're expecting in the second half Dallas to be about 7% more pass heavy than pregame projection. So over 70% rest of game, and Baltimore to be about 12% more rush heavy than pregame projections. So only around 40% passing rest of game. So if you want to look at either of those two games, what do you think for player props? Like what's catching your mind from just a specific player?
Yeah, the books definitely think this game's over, right? Dallas is now 15-1 to come back and win this game, which shows what the books are thinking heading here into half. For me, I'll look at CD, right? CD's been a little quiet in this game. He's obviously gonna get targeted heavily in the second half, and we know Dallas, they want to pass the ball. So we've seen it time and time again. This Ravens defense, they might be pretty good up front, but we've seen teams that have been able to pass the ball against them. So I look towards CD here. I know he was plus 175 before he came on for any time touchdown. I'll throw a little on that, and then I'll take his over in this prop total. Just Dak has got to feed his best player the ball, and I don't think they don't have anyone on the Ravens side that can really cover him. So that's definitely something I'll attack here, where you just see soft coverage in the second half as the Ravens just try to have the clock eat away.
Yeah, exactly. So CD Lamb. Now, right now, all odds are off the board. Nope, there we go. Popped back up just briefly. So DraftKings has it ghosted out at 79.5 receiving yards. CD Lamb right now sitting at 27 receiving yards. So let me just pop that into the model and see what it would think of 79.5 when that pops back up. So let me just pop it in here. Yeah, it's leaning right at 50-50 with a small lean to the over on 79.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, and I did just bet it. So the Cowboys are doing a little 30-second drive here. So maybe you can get some cheap yards here, hopefully with CD. But yeah.
Wow. And he must have just gotten a long catch because it just moved to 110.
And that's what I was hoping for when I bet it. So those are always the lucky times when you bet the low number.
And here's the thing. If you want to take that 110 just because he got that catch there, you can still do that because the Dallas Cowboys still have the ball, and coming out of the half, they're still going to be trailing no matter what. So if you want to hit the over 110.5, that's going to be our first official bet on Bet What Happens Live. Hopefully you're able to get the 79.5 unghosted, but right now, well, it's 111.5. It's ghosted, but when it unghosts, we're gonna immediately hit CD Lamb. But yeah, CD Lamb getting a long reception there right as Dallas gets the ball. Simon was all over that.
That was a nice one. Yeah,
So
it's
hopefully
better to be lucky than good sometimes, and that was definitely one of those times I got pretty lucky.
exactly. So hopefully when it unghosts, you all are able to hit CD Lamb over because, of course, the model counts the fact that he just got these extra yards. And so, it still likes his over. It doesn't really change things here. Let's go back to that Cardinals-Lions game. You were talking about, maybe some Detroit players could have some extra value, some hidden value there for the receiving game because of Laporta being down. Do you think it would benefit Amon-Ra St. Brown or Jamison Williams or maybe some of their secondary receivers? What are you thinking about that?
I honestly would go towards Amon St. Brown. It just seems like after the first 2 games where Goff had struggled with him, he's clearly looking for him in this game. They had a game plan going into it. So that's one spot I talk. And before you came on, you talked about how we like Gibbs. That's another guy I'm going to attack in the second half, not just the receiving, but the rushing part where I just can see him getting a lot of touches here in the second half. And me and you were going to bet his anytime touchdown prop, but he obviously scored right there before halftime. So I'm going to stay away from that, but I'm going to take Gibbs as over receiving and rushing prop in the second half.
Gibbs over rushing plus receiving. Let me see what line I can find there on Jahmyr Gibbs over rushing plus receiving. He's at 113.5. Let me pop it into my model here.
Wow. So before we came on, he was only at 80. So yeah, I guess that has moved heavily.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's at 74 total rushing plus receiving yards. So it's funny. He has 20 receiving yards and 0 catches because of the hook and ladder.
Yeah.
So 20 plus 54. And our model is showing rest of game that he will have 113.5, and the line is 113.5. So actually, we're right in line with.
Yeah, I don't know. That's too close. That's too close.
Yeah,
but I do have one bet though we haven't talked about it. One game where it's my favorite.
Go
bet.
for
it. It's that Rams 49ers game. I think the Rams right now. I have the value. I have this line at 6. Mm-hmm. It's plus 7.5. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to throw a little bet on the money line, which is plus 420. And I wanted to get your view on it. Are there any dogs here in the second halves that you like? I mean, we have a bunch of double digits favorites right now, but this is the only one that pops out to me where the Rams are getting the ball to start the second half. We've seen that vintage start sometimes with Stafford where he can drive the field and maybe tie this up, but I still think the number is too big at plus 7.5. And you saw before kickoff, this number went all the way down from 7.5 to 7 to 6 to 6.5 just because of all these injuries. This 49ers offense. So I think as banged up as the Rams are, I like them to stick in this game. And I think the plus 7.5 is a really good number to take right now.
Yeah. So the Rams also start with the ball here in the second half. So that really helps. So I think you do have to take the plus 7.5 on the Rams. So that's going to be another bet what happens live official bet here. Rams plus 7.5. Also, I know you and I talked about the Cardinals and Lions as far as could a team come back and win. I kind of like the Cardinals plus 7.5 as well, because they also have the ball, right? And we've been watching this game. The Cardinals have been moving the ball. So they've been able to keep up with the Lions here. If we look just kind of at a really basic stat that I like to look at, yards per play, the Cardinals are at 6.3 yards per play, the Lions 7.1. So both offenses have been cruising. But all it takes is, one stop for the Cardinals and they're right back to a 1-score game and they start with the ball. So we're going to take Cardinals plus 7.5 as well. I am. I don't know if Simon's with me here, but I am.
I like the idea. I told you my fear right now is that Detroit is just going to eat away at the clock in the second half with that running attack. And I don't know if Arizona has the guys up front to stop it. So I do
love your
idea with Arizona though, because they get the ball to start this. And I think I'll be very telling where Dr. Nick's on the right path, right? If he takes his bet and they score here, this immediately goes down to 3.5, 4.5. So I'm agreeing with you there. The value is definitely on the Arizona and that number.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, both teams are moving the ball. The Lions had 1 punt, Arizona had 2 punts, but Arizona also scored twice, and the Lions scored 3 times. So it's been a kind of an offensive game here. And if Arizona is able to close it down on this first possession, that's why I want to take it. Only because they have the ball. If they didn't have the ball, I wouldn't be taking this.
Oh, they're right there. I mean, I told when you jumped on here, it was 3rd and 12, and Detroit handed the ball off and ran it, and they got really lucky. You broke 2 tackles, got the first. If he had punted there, this game would probably be 13-10 heading into halftime, right? Arizona probably would have got a field goal there. So I don't think you're far off here. I think Arizona is much closer in this game than the score dictates.
I agree. So let's look at some touchdowns in this game, because there have been a lot of touchdowns. And I know, you were looking at Jahmyr Gibbs, but there could be some other touchdown scorers in here. So I'm just pulling up FanDuel, and real quick, just a cursory look. I am looking at James Conner. I see plus 240. Our model is plus 250. Marvin Harrison Jr., he has the touchdown, so I think I need to go to 2+.
Who's the backup tight end for Detroit? That might be a sneaky bet.
That would be Brock Wright.
He's only plus 700, but
yeah, I don't think that's quite enough. We'd
that's
have
not enough for
Laporta
me.
at 6-1 himself. But what I do think is, so Jamison Williams is plus 600. Let me look at the running backs here. Got Montgomery and Gibbs. Montgomery we're showing some value on. And I think with the Lions ahead, so Montgomery to have 2+ touchdowns, because he has one right now, at 2-1. With the Lions ahead, some more likely to run. I think that's some value, because we're showing around plus 180 as fair value. So 20 cents of value is pretty good there. What do you think?
I love it. I mean, again, we already talked about, like, I just, that's my view of this second half. I don't think Detroit is going to salt this game away like they have in the past, where they're going to let Goff go out there and just keep slinging it. I think they know what they need to do. They need to just keep running the ball. The guys up front it's the most dominant part of their team. And now we're talking about a two-headed monster in the backfield, right? Both running backs are great at what they do. So,
well, and to your point,
I love that idea.
To your point, we could take both of them, because we're actually showing value on Jahmyr Gibbs as well at plus 230 for 2+ touchdowns. And that way, as long as one of these two backs scores, we make some money, right? So
yeah.
And with the way the lines have been moving the ball, there's every chance both of them could score. So we're going to take David Montgomery 2+ touchdowns and Jahmyr Gibbs 2+ touchdowns. Montgomery was 2-1. Jahmyr Gibbs plus 230. So let's circle back to this Dallas Cowboys game. It is officially at halftime, 21-6. So Dallas did make a field goal to go into the half there. We were talking about CeeDee Lamb. Obviously, if you're able to grab that over on his receiving yards early, that's a nice start. But even if you didn't, we like his over on receiving yards. What else are you thinking about that game, Simon?
I actually just put a small bet on Justice Hill anytime touchdown at 8-1. Just so the view of, I don't know how much more touches they're going to try to force for Derrick Henry in the second half, where they'll let the other guy come in who they just paid a bunch of money to, let him get touches. And he's been great with his touches. He's such a different type of back than Derrick Henry. I love his type of speed. And we've seen Dallas struggle against the run. So I'm going to take a long shot, roll the dice at an plus 850 at 9-1 at a couple of books.
Yeah, there's 11-1 at FanDuel. If you have access to, FanDuel, 11-1 for Justice Hill anytime touchdown. Our model is also, Simon likes it, our model likes it. So when we're both on it, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So Justice Hill, 11-1 at FanDuel, if you have access to that, would be the best odds out there for his anytime touchdown. I really like that look, Simon. So I'm looking at interceptions in this game as well, because we know Dallas has to throw.
Okay, yeah, I love that angle.
We know Dallas has to throw, right?
Has to. And they got a bunch of ball catchers on the Ravens side in that secondary.
Exactly. So right now, Dak is plus 104. That's not quite enough, actually.
What's that under his passing props?
Yeah, under his passing props. I see plus 104 at FanDuel. Not quite enough, actually. Our value is more like plus 135 for a Dak interception. So maybe not quite. But I was thinking about it, but our model isn't quite showing value on that.
Right.
Interestingly enough, his under, oh no, that's passing touchdowns. I was looking at the wrong one there. But his interceptions at DraftKings, plus 105 is not good enough. But let's look at his passing yards, right? So Dak Prescott's current line is 295.5 at DraftKings, and 293.5 at FanDuel, and he's currently sitting with 140. So our model's projecting 300 passing yards for Dak on the dot. But the Ravens start with the ball, so we got to mentally bump that down. So actually, we're right in line with market there.
Yeah,
Just
that's why
thinking,
that I
thinking
think
aloud.
that's why that market's so tough.
Yeah, it really is. Other games, other players, other in this game or other games. What are your thoughts?
Honestly, I'm pretty tapped out on all the bets we've already made.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you just your opinion on if Vegas had any type of chance. They, of course, they went 3-and-out, punted. I think Carolina's already in their territory. So luckily, we didn't even get to Vegas. We're not betting that bad number now.
No.
They're up to plus 11.5 with Carolina now in their territory. So seems like we dodged a bullet there. And on the flip side, the Rams and Arizona both have pretty good field position. So I think taking both their plus 7.5 look like they're pretty good right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Arizona coming out of half has already started to move the ball. They're at midfield, 3rd and 6. I am going to look at one thing real quick because I said I was going to. I need to
Yeah.
look at Trey Tucker's anytime touchdown.
Okay, I like that for Vegas.
Darn, 7-1. Not good enough, honestly. I was hoping it would be longer. He also returns punts, so you get a little extra sneaky value in case he returns a punt for a touchdown. He's their big play threat, and he had a 54-yard catch in the first half, but I can't do it at 7-1. So
no.
Anyway, I think we're gonna wrap it up there. Just a little recap. And by the way, make sure you give a thumbs up for Simon calling that CD Lamb stuff right off the gate, right off the bat. I know maybe some of you couldn't get it, but hopefully it comes through in the second half as well. But make sure you give that a like for us. But real quick, a recap. I know Simon was on CD Lamb over his receiving yards at halftime, or just before half in his case. We had the Rams plus 7.5. We had the Cardinals for me plus 7.5. Justice Hill anytime touchdown at 11-1, and we took both Lions running backs for their second touchdowns, and I believe that's it. So good chunk of bets. Simon, thanks as always for joining me on Bet What Happens Live. I know we've been profitable both the other times we've done this, so hopefully we can make it 3 out of 3.
Yeah, I hope, like both times too, we had long shots come through, so hopefully make it 3 for 3 on that as well.
Yeah, that'd be really nice to see. So Justice Hill, get that touchdown, and make sure y'all give us a thumbs up. And we'll see you back for a doubleheader on Monday Night Football, right? We got 2 luck games as well. Both those are luck rankings games. So I'm excited for those. Good luck with your bets, everybody, and enjoy the rest of the games.